Justin's a loser, always has been.
There's already new data out showing a majority of Canadians believe misinformation played a role in the race to choose Canada's Prime Minister.
Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about misinformation and immigration. Two issues at the heart of what's going wrong in Canada. And there's a lot of both right now. Before we get into it, if you could hit that like button, it really helps the channel out. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. Let's get into it. So Mark Carney just gave a speech where he said we should be proud our democracy is strong.
At a time when democracies around the world are under threat, Canadians can be proud that ours remains strong.
Let's stop right there. A democracy depends on informed consent. That means we need honest, reliable information so we can make real choices at the ballot box. But that's not what happened. Our government actively spreads disinformation, and not just during the elections. Carney himself is known for spinning half-truths, outright lies, and worse, we're forced to fund the CBC, which really just acts like more of a PR team for the government. That's not a democracy, it's theater. We're not voting based on truth, we're reacting to state-sponsored narratives.
More ballots were cast this election than ever before, but a majority of Canadians who voted have the same concern.
When information is misinterpreted or misshared, it's a lot to ask for the casual guy to tell.
A new Leger poll finds more than 3/4 of the electorate believe misinformation affected the results.
It's a high number. 77% feel that they experienced, some misinformation.
51% say that impact was major or moderate, while another 26% say it played a minor role. Only 9% of Canadians think misinformation didn't impact the election outcome.
Only 9% of Canadians believe misinformation had no impact on the last election. So nearly everyone agrees that we were misinformed in some way. And of course, the Liberals are going to use this to justify more censorship, pointing fingers at social media. But the biggest source of election misinformation wasn't online influencers. It was the CBC. They misled voters, especially seniors, with fear-mongering, pushing false narratives about Trump, inflation, and more. Here's a clip from CBC's David Cochrane, blatantly misleading viewers about inflation.
Your party may not be able to rely on post-COVID inflation crisis that was fueled by, war in the breadbasket of Europe and supply.
David, you know this. You know that inflation is caused when governments print money.
Well,
that's what the Liberals did. The Liberals flooded the economy with brand new cash. It has nothing to do.
They spent money. They didn't print money. The Bank of Canada did not increase the number of banknotes in circulation in the economy. They used settlement balances.
They
used settlement balances to buy government bonds to put liquidity. I'm not being dishonest.
They created money out of thin air. They massively expanded the money supply. You know this.
They did not permanently increase the money supply, Mr. Scheer. But anyway, I don't want to have an argument on monetary policy. They used settlement balances to buy bonds, to lower interest rates, to put liquidity into the banking system, and then they remove those settlement balances over time. So,
are you denying that there is more currency, whether it's digital or real, in the Canadian economy today? Are you denying?
I'm saying they use settlement balances, and you're calling it money. There may be a small marginal increase, but it is not the anyway. Everybody had all right.
It is wild that this is allowed to continue. CBC isn't journalism, it's taxpayer-funded propaganda. And it's time we stop being forced to fund it.
So we will put more money in Canadians' pockets with a middle-class tax cut that will take effect by Canada Day, saving two-income families up to $825 a year.
So back to Carney. He bragged that two-income families will save up to $825 a year on taxes. Sounds good, right? Not really. That's just $15.86 a week, barely enough for a fast food meal in 2025. And that so-called savings is going to be completely wiped out by the rising cost of groceries and rent. Carney is also recycling ideas. He's basically copied and pasted Pierre Poilievre's policies and just pretends they're his own. He's not offering solutions. He's offering the illusion of leadership.
We'll build a stronger Canadian armed forces to protect Canadians, defend our sovereignty, and support our allies. We will strengthen our border security with 1,000 more CBSA officers, as well as scores of dog teams, drones, and scanners to fight the traffic of guns and drugs. We'll strengthen Canadian law enforcement by hiring 1,000 more RCMP officers and giving law enforcement more tools to fight crime. We will toughen the criminal code and bail laws for those threatening the safety of Canadians, including making bail harder to get for those charged with stealing cars, with home invasion, human trafficking, and smuggling. We will return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. That's a sharp drop from the recent high of 7.3%, and this will help ease strains on housing, on public infrastructure, and social services.
So now the immigration. Carney talked about capping temporary foreign workers and international students. But the truth is that's not immigration reform. If we're still bringing in hundreds of thousands of new permanent residents each year, then capping student visas won't fix anything. We have a huge housing crisis, and until it's solved, we need to pause immigration. Anything less is just smoke and mirrors. If we don't act, we're heading towards what's happening in Ireland right now. Here's a clip from Rebel News showing how high immigration levels have made it nearly impossible to find a place to rent. That's the future we're sleepwalking into, unless something changes.
But yeah, I made the journey up here today with my partner because over the last 3 years we've been battling homelessness. And with two small boys, since the minute she landed pregnant with the first little fella 3 years ago, our struggle started. We were told to join the rat race, as many Irish people are being told to do, in going out and finding rental accommodation. Now in my area, I can go on daily, weekly, and there will be zero properties to find on them websites. And not only that, when you do find one, we looked at one day, we viewed it it was up 12 minutes, there was 2,000 people viewed it. The prices of to rent accommodation are up through the roof, and you're faced with that. You're battling against the likes of the Ukrainians that are coming in. They get government supports, so they can afford to pay a lot more than the average Irish person can, which is then driving the prices up and is pushing Irish people further away from even renting a home, let alone owning a home. And the thing with me is, why it's so hard for me is I'm a firefighter in my local area, so I'm restricted to within 5 kilometres of my area. Now, over the last 2-3 years, I've tried reaching out to radio stations. I've tried all my local electives. I've tried it all. Pinned the Minister of Housing, Darragh O'Brien at the time, and I confronted him with the question, how do you feel about homeless Irish firefighters? And he seemed surprised. He said, oh, do you know one? I said, yes, myself. He gave me
That's shocking.
He gave me his number on a card, gave me a couple of false.
So this was a TD? This was a member of Parliament?
No. This was the head of housing in the whole country, Mr. Darragh O'Brien. So he gave me his number on a card, gave me a couple of smiles and waves in his big fancy car, drove away, and the minute I got home, I tried contacting him and he ignored me. Now, this is a common thing with all my local electives as well. They'd outright ignore you, but then when you try to tell people that they've been ignoring me, I'm struggling, I'm homeless, I'm a firefighter, I have 2 small children, they ignore you.
So how is this still happening in 2025? How can our leaders care so little about everyday Canadians while living large on our dime? I hope it doesn't get worse, but honestly, I'm worried it will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.